Good morning. My hair is wacky. Look at that. Good morning. How's it going? Wow. Going to be going over how the map looks right now, how the Senate looks, how the House looks, and showing you basically what's left and what you should expect. So let me start down here. Actually, let's not get to that first. Start with this. So this is where, Jesus Christ, why don't things just work? Here we go. This is how the map looks right now. So this may look a little scary, and in some ways it is. This is definitely, as I said last night, not a Joe Biden landslide. That said, right now the election is heavily favored for Joe Biden. Let me tell you why. Arizona, he is leading and is expected to take it. In fact, Fox News called Arizona for Joe Biden last night. No one else has, I don't think. But it is expected right now anyways, and the way that mail-in balloting has been going, leaning heavily Democratic or absentee ballots. Joe Biden in the lead here already is expected to win Arizona. If that happens, I'll get to later what happens if he wins these certain states. But so looking at Arizona, Nevada also, it's really close here, about a 8,000 vote difference. But again, mail-in balloting, if it's heavy favored for a Democrat, it's going to help Joe Biden, of course. Wisconsin, Joe Biden came from a deficit there. He was behind Donald Trump, came back overnight as Milwaukee began to come in, is beginning to really overtake Trump at this point. I mean, he's leading by about 20,000 votes. So Wisconsin, expected for Joe Biden. Michigan is going to be a similar thing. As the larger counties come in, this is going to heavily favor Joe Biden because the mail-in balloting heavily favors Democrats. So Maine is expected, I believe, to go for Joe Biden. So far, he has one electoral vote there, it looks like. But there's 4 votes there. I expect him to take them, but we're going to have to wait. North Carolina could go either way. It seems right now to heavily favor Donald Trump, but it's only by 1%. Though it is about, I mean, there's a number of, like 70,000 vote difference there. So there's a lot to come in there, or more than that. But Georgia could go for Joe Biden if the counties in and around Atlanta are enough votes to push him over the edge. But let me show you what he needs, because this can all get kind of confusing. And by the way, if you have chats, super chats, I'll take those at some point as well. But here we go. So this is basically what the map looks like right now. As you see, 225, 213, 225, 213. So we're looking at these 100 electoral votes and where they're going to go. So let's put some assumptions on the board. I'm going to assume Alaska, Donald Trump. So there we go. I'm going to assume Maine goes for Joe Biden. There we go. Now let's say Biden takes Arizona, as he's likely to take. Let's say he takes Wisconsin, as he's likely to take. So you see how close it's already getting. Nevada, likely Biden. Again, let me double check that. Biden is leading there, and 86% reporting. So we're talking about really just mail-in ballots left, likely to lean Joe Biden. He's already leading, so he'll likely increase his lead there. So let's say Nevada, Joe Biden. And now we're looking at Michigan, Pennsylvania especially. So Michigan right now, as I said, Trump is leading, but it's close. And right now you're having the larger counties have their ballots counted, the mail-in balloting, absentee balloting, heavily favoring Democrats. So let's say Joe Biden wins that, it's over. He doesn't even need Pennsylvania, doesn't need North Carolina, doesn't need Georgia. If he doesn't win Michigan, which I do think is unlikely, I think he will win Michigan, but let's say he doesn't. But maybe he wins, surprise win in Georgia. Then he's got it. North Carolina, then he's got it. Pennsylvania, then he's got it. So Biden needs one of these other states. Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Michigan being the most likely. Pennsylvania right now, there is, last I checked, a big gap. Yeah, about a 11-point gap there. But 75% reporting, meaning that there is still a opportunity, if there are enough votes left in larger counties, which is what's coming in, Philadelphia, for example, large county there, a lot of votes to come in. If they all, like 90% plus, favor Joe Biden, it could flip Pennsylvania, even though the gap looks massive, which it is. But I would not want to rely on Pennsylvania right now, looking at how wide this gap is. So Wisconsin, Michigan, right now appears to be the best path to victory for Joe Biden. So that's where we are right now. I'll try to leave this up when I'm talking to y'all, but let me go to the Senate. This is how this is looking right now. So neither party has gained or lost, or I should say they've each gained. So Democrats gained in Colorado with Hickenlooper. Republicans gained in Alabama with Tuberville over Doug Jones. Doug Jones, again, the horrible strategy of trying to be as conservative as possible and thinking you're going to win. Alabama was always going to be tough regardless to keep that seat. Doug Jones, he won last time because he was going up against a horrible individual. I don't want to get too much into that because of YouTube pulling me down over certain controversial issues. But Doug Jones, the only reason he won last time. But again, he didn't really do much to try to appeal to an actual base there. So regardless, he gets completely wiped out here, 61-39, like not even close. But largely expected. Nothing else really happening here. So we still got to wait. It seems unlikely, based on how things are going, seems unlikely that Democrats will control the Senate. Which, I mean, if Biden wins, doesn't have the Senate, has the House, he will have the House. The House has already been called for Democrats, you see here. A lot of red, but understand not many people live in these massive counties. So he's going to have the House, but without the Senate, it's going to be, especially when it comes to appointing judges. Serious problem. Mitch McConnell, there's nothing's gonna get done. So that's what we're looking at right now. I wanted to show you this. Nate Silver tweeting out, so what's left in Nevada is mail and provisionals, no more in-person voting. That's likely good news for Democrats unless the late arriving mail ballots were much redder than the early arriving ones. So there you go. Looking like it's going to be a win for Biden in Nevada. But again, this is the kind of, so understand, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, I believe Michigan, and Georgia, these are all states where a lot of the vote will not be counted until today and over the next several days because of the way that they counted absentee or early votes. So a lot of states counted them as they arrived. States like Wisconsin didn't count them until or begin to count them until last night. So there's going to be, that's why we're waiting on some of these states. Pennsylvania, again, another important one there. Really not expect to get the final vote in for Pennsylvania until Friday, but hopefully Biden won't need Pennsylvania. But we're looking at a map here that just is not, this is not impressive for Democrats. They relied heavily on the hatred that people had for Donald Trump, which is a strategy, at least, considering Joe Biden, not a great candidate, was not really offering much in the way of change. At the same time, he could have at least leaned a little more on what he was potentially offering in his platform. Higher wages, for example, expanding healthcare, but largely relied on the anti-Trump vote, which, you know, ultimately he may still win, but I'm just left thinking Bernie would have won. And a lot of people have been saying that. I think it's fairly obvious based on how all these votes came in. I mean, Texas, Bernie could have flipped Texas. Biden did not get the Latino vote that he needed. They didn't even try, didn't even attempt to really have any groundswell of support from Latinos. So you're left with a victory for Trump like this. Biden losing in Florida by, I believe, an even wider margin, or at least in Miami-Dade. Let me go down here. Miami-Dade County. This was expected to be so in 2016, Hillary won this by 30 points. This year, Biden wins 53 to 46. So it's going in the opposite direction. And this is a district or a county with heavy Latino population, diverse population, and it should not be this close. But showing you what a failure of a strategy, once again, the Democratic Party had, as I discussed endlessly during the primary, why Bernie Sanders was clearly the better choice. He actually offered something, offered a different perspective, offered hope, was the perfect foil to Donald Trump and his fake populism. But Democrats put up somebody who, I guess in their minds, was safe, somebody familiar. And the issue with that is voters are done with standard politicians. As overtly horrible as Donald Trump is, I guess it's just not enough. People want something different out of the Democratic Party. So they have in their minds, their anti-establishment candidate or president in Donald Trump, even though he's obviously not. His cabinet packed with Wall Street. The only thing he really did, tax reform benefiting the wealthy, tried to cut healthcare a number of times, cut Social Security, cut Medicare, like go down the list. Donald Trump, fake populist, but you know, for enough people, it worked, and that's really unfortunate. Let me grab some chats here that are coming in. Lisa Marie Lisa Marie Lermont says AP/Google has Biden up 230 to 218, including Arizona. Yeah, Arizona's been called by some people. So this is the conservative estimate here. I could try and bring up. Let me see who. I guess I could check Google. But somebody else has an electoral map. New York Times, maybe. All right, unless AP has their own map. Let me see. Okay, not seeing anything from AP. All right, so on Google, which of course they get from, as it was stated, from AP, you see here, they do have Biden winning Arizona. I mean, this is the likely result. So, I mean, they're just being super careful here. Most places are being super careful in terms of calling these states because a lot of the mail-in ballot is heavily going heavily going in one direction, but it's usually almost always been going in the Democratic Party direction. So that's why it appears they would be confident enough to call that there. But and as you see, Wisconsin leaning towards Joe Biden, Michigan leaning towards Joe Biden. So if he gets Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, it's over. Doesn't even need Pennsylvania. Even though Pennsylvania, we're going to wait like 3 days for the final vote there. But Georgia is also still competitive, but not sure if there's enough votes in Atlanta and the surrounding area to flip that. But Joe Biden's likely going to win. We can't call it until we see it. Let me grab some more chats here. BK says, results, lame duck Dems at best. America is still circling the drain. Great slow burn to the end. Antifa. Brick knows, how do you account for the major polling to results discrepancy? Cuban anti-socialism seemed to make a big difference. So there's a lot of, right now it's all pure speculation. The reality is the Trump campaign put a lot of money into Miami-Dade County in Florida. Yes, attacking Joe Biden. Yes, trying to attach him to socialism and all that shit. But the other issue is the Joe Biden campaign didn't do enough on the ground to counteract that. So the idea of, like, this also shows you, by the way, why Bernie Sanders would not have been an issue. So if socialism is the reason that Biden lost Florida, then why not just put up Bernie Sanders, who would have done better in other states? Like, it's hilarious to see the media, like, their entire argument against Bernie Sanders play its way out through Joe Biden. Why not have an actual candidate who has a real message, speaks to voters who have been disenfranchised, haven't voted for a while, speaks to young people especially, have that turn out, especially in places like Texas, when it comes to the Latino vote, and the Rust Belt states. Bernie has always been on the correct side of the issue when it comes to trade deals and unions and wages. Why not have someone who actually speaks to the needs of real voters? Is a real populist in that sense, as opposed to Trump's fake populism. But no, they did, the party, Democratic Party, did whatever they could to push out Bernie Sanders, get Joe Biden as the nominee, and this is the result. We're biting our nails, waiting for to see what happens here. Now, again, I still think Biden's going to win, and this is largely because Trump is hated. But this is a kind of victory you can't lean on. Like, thinking in 2 years, what's going to happen with the Senate, with the House? In 4 years, what's going to happen? The Democratic Party has to do some actual soul searching, and this is the issue as well. They're not going to do soul searching. They have to do it, but they're not going to. You have to replace the leadership within the party. The Democratic Party, as it stands, with people like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Tom Perez. The Joe Biden, as it stands, will not be a successful party. You have to replace leadership within the party. You have to continue primarying out members of leadership. You've already seen AOC take out Joe Crowley. You've seen Cori Bush take out Lacey Clay. You've seen Jamal Bowman take out Elliot Engel. That has to continue. You have to continue taking out those important members of the Democratic Party and make current members, both in the Senate and the House, scared of the left and force them to support issues like Medicare for all, like higher wages, like putting members of the labor force on corporate boards. You have to continue scaring the leadership into backing those issues and or, at the same time, primarying out those people who will not do that. Otherwise, we're going to continue having these results where it seems insane. After the destruction that Donald Trump has caused, especially with COVID, that there is this much support for him still. It's a monumental failure. Failure in terms of the media and failure in terms of the Democratic Party not being able to find a real message and the party not being able to properly nail these issues to Donald Trump. If you look at COVID results, compare the U.S. to other major countries, the U.S. numbers are terrible. Terrible. In fact, let me bring it up right now. Since there's a nice large audience, let me show you the reality when it comes to COVID in the U.S. compared to other countries. Just give me a minute here as I prep this. And I'll get to your chats as well as I hear them coming in. All right. Here we go. All right. So if you take a look at this wave right here, the U.S. has never escaped the first wave. This is daily new confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people. So it's per capita. The U.S. never escaped the first wave. Over here, at the end of April, is when the USPS had a plan to send 5 masks to every household. The White House stopped that from happening. Donald Trump never took masks seriously, never wore a mask till about midsummer. If he had pushed for that a mask mandate, had encouraged social distancing, and did what like other countries had done, like Canada did, like Australia did, the UK. So you're seeing a massive second wave right now in Europe, and many countries right now experiencing a second wave. You see Canada is as well. But these numbers still, like if you combine what has been happening in this graph, there's no comparison. The amount of people that have been sick, have died in the U.S. to other countries, there is no comparison. So this is a clear failure on the part of Donald Trump and the White House, and the Democratic Party failed to communicate that. And for that matter, the media as well. The only way to properly put these numbers, the COVID numbers, into context is by comparing it to other countries. I can show you, actually, let me bring up Japan. Because Japan had a strong mask mandate or encouraged masks from the beginning, and it was no crazy cultural thing there. They just wore masks, no big deal. Look how low the numbers are in Japan. Same thing with South Korea. Look at that. Just for kicks, let's try the countries that are always fear-mongered. See where Cuba's at. Look at that. Cuba doing fantastic. Vietnam. So we're looking at socialist countries. Vietnam, massive population, almost no cases. Cuba, almost no cases. And of course, countries that I showed you, South Korea, Japan, taking it seriously, almost no cases. Unbelievable the failure that COVID was. So nothing's really changed yet. If you're just coming in late, I'll try to give you, an update that you may have missed that I gave earlier. But essentially, Biden is likely to win, favored to win. he's leading in Arizona. Some place have already called it. AP's already called it for Biden in Arizona, as you see here. But he's likely to win Arizona. Biden needs Arizona, is likely to win Nevada as well. It looks close right now, but what's left is mail-in balloting. So he needs Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. And he doesn't even need Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. So if he gets Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Biden wins the election. And he's heavily favored right now in Arizona, in Nevada, in Wisconsin, and in Michigan. So we're going to have to wait. Pennsylvania is a larger gap, but there's a lot of mail-in balloting there in heavily populated counties that largely lean Democratic. So it's possible Biden could flip this 11-point gap right now with Trump, even though it seems crazy. It's very possible with the amount of ballots that are left to count. But I wouldn't even want to rely on that. Rely on Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada. That's his path to victory. On the other hand, though, let's play that game. Say Trump takes Pennsylvania, takes North Carolina, takes Georgia. So though these are close, he's expected to take, or he's leading right now in Georgia, leading North Carolina, leading Pennsylvania. So let's call all those for Trump. Let's say, let me see how Michigan's looking right now. So Michigan's close, even though it's expected all the mail-in ballots going to favor Biden. Let's just say Trump takes Michigan. There you go. So if he takes Pennsylvania and Michigan, with him likely winning in North Carolina and Georgia, that's Trump's path to victory. Or let's say he takes Nevada. What happens then? Also wins there. So there you go. Pennsylvania is Trump's path. If Trump takes Pennsylvania and he gets one more, like Nevada or Michigan, then Trump's good. But as I said, Biden is heavily favored in those states. In fact, this is a very likely scenario right here. Biden 271, just barely winning the election, to Trump at 267. Ridiculously close, unbelievably close, absurd. As I showed earlier, here's the Senate races. There's been one pickup by Democrats, one pickup by Republicans. So right now it's even. Democrats don't seem likely to take the Senate, which is not going to be. It's not going to be good. There's not much that's going to be done over the next couple years, at least, if that's the case. All right, sorry. Back to chats here. Let me leave this one up. I will say, though, just to pat myself in the back, I did predict that Biden would take this one electoral vote in Nebraska. And I also predicted that he would take Maine, which he looks like he's going to take all four. We're going to have to wait and see, but I think he will take all four. So there's that. Apart from that, I was kind of off. But I will say my prediction was a lot more conservative than some. Some people had Biden winning at like 350 electoral votes. That's not happening, obviously. So it is a much closer race than a lot of people assumed. All right. Just want to make sure I did something correct here. Yes, okay. I wasn't sure if I had Alaska for Trump when I was doing that breakdown, but I did. Okay. All right, more chats here coming in quick. Brick knows, how do you account for them? Oh, I read this already. Yes. DJ says, did I just read this too? Or someone else said that? No. DJ says, Associated Press says 238 safe votes for Biden, not 225. Maybe that boosts hope a little bit. You do great work, by the way. Thank you, DJ. Yeah, as I discussed, because someone else brought that up. Yeah, AP has Arizona already for Biden, likely to happen. And you see here, leaning for Biden in Michigan and Wisconsin. I don't know why this keeps moving over, but there you go. But I want to leave it on the more conservative estimate for now. It's always better to be pleasantly surprised than to be disappointed. Losing my place in these chats. Lots coming in. John Sheridan says, who do you think wins at this point? I think Biden's going to win. And Trump will he'll do what he's already done. He claimed victory. I haven't watched the speech. So I think I went to bed right before his speech. I don't really care about his speech because he just lies all the time. So what does it matter? But I think he tried to claim victory. No news outlet has taken him seriously. So he can say whatever the hell he wants. But he has not won this election, at least not yet. So I think Biden's going to win. And there's going to be quite the divided states that we have here. The next several years will be nuts. Juna McGrath says, this is the most hollow victory ever. I agree. The Democrats put all their eggs into the affluent suburban vote basket, ignored people of color, and it ruined them. 100%. They did this exact same thing in 2016 and learned nothing. Because, of course, they're not designed to learn anything. They're designed to run a certain way, have a certain message, not actually represent unions, workers, labor. And because of that, you get results that are this close. I don't know how to say your first name, but something SRDJAN Tomek says, aren't you worried that Dems, if they win, might escalate U.S.-Russia relations too far in order to justify Russiagating? Can you comment on this? This is I think, a minor issue in the grand scheme of things right now. Yes, I do think when it comes to foreign policy, dialogue is a lot better than trying to be tough on whatever country, on Russia, tough on on North Korea. Yes, I agree. But Trump tore up the Iran deal. The one I would say obviously fantastic thing Barack Obama did was the Iran deal, and Trump tore it up. Almost led the country to World War III after killing Soleimani. So I think Trump is clearly the more destructive president when it comes to foreign policy. Trump also escalated drone strikes and escalated the dropping of bombs, escalated war. He did not. The idea that Trump is better on foreign policy issues is just completely nuts. I agree with you when it comes to very specific relations. Like, I think having dialogue with North Korea is good. I think having dialogue with Russia is good. But when it comes to especially Iran and how far that went and how close to war we all got, just no. Biden isn't much better, obviously. But there is a clear difference, especially when it comes to Iran and how that's been handled. Adam Bryceland says, morning, David, Jesus H. Christ, Dems are going to lose the House. No, they're not going to lose the House. They're going to lose the Senate, more than likely. They're not going to lose the House. They're already predicted to win the House. Going on, you say, this really is a right-wing country. I'm going back to Spain. I love that country. I don't know why. Nothing against Americans, but if you live in Spain, I don't know why you would leave Spain. Spain seems pretty nice. Aaron Washington says, what good is Joe Biden being president if Republicans maintain control of the Senate? Yeah, I agree with you. The benefit is mostly cultural. The benefit is that you don't have a white nationalist as the president. That's the benefit. The benefit is hopefully a change in culture, hopefully a change in tone. There has been a massive rise in hate crimes over the past 4 years under Trump, a massive rise in right-wing terrorism under Donald Trump, though that could continue under Joe Biden. So I don't know. We're going to have to see. But ultimately, I think it's better to have somebody out of the White House who is an authoritarian, who wants to lock up his political opponents, even if, the system doesn't allow him to. He wants to and will find any way to get what he wants done. So when it comes to that, I think there is a clear difference. I don't think it's smart to continue down the path of an authoritarian, and especially when it comes to issues like immigration. Yes, the Senate is going to be a massive roadblock for any progress that's made. But there is a leadership quality and a cultural impact that a president has that Donald Trump just does not have the ability to maintain in any kind of, I guess, adult way. Aaron Washington says, what good is... Oh, I just read this. Matt W. says, a complete polling failure. What's going on? So in some cases, yes. Ultimately, it's not a complete polling failure because a lot of the vote is not in. This is the issue with this staggered counting of the votes. Is it may look off right now, but this was predicted months ago that this was going to be the result, that we wouldn't have a result on election night and we'd have to wait at least a few days to see what happens. So that's what's happening right now. I mean, I've discussed this. Many of us have discussed this that cover this stuff. That a likely scenario is that on election night, it's not clear who won, that Trump will claim victory, and that he will try and tie it up in the courts or do whatever he can to try and steal the election. That's kind of where we're in right now. But thankfully, the media has, for the most part, done its job in the sense that it's not just listening to Donald Trump and following what he's saying. They are rebuking the idea that he won the election, which really is only coming from Trump's mouth. No one's even, I'm sure Fox News has not claimed that. So Trump is trying to claim the election, but the reality is the vote's not in. He didn't win. He can't just say he won and stay in there. If he loses, he loses. So hopefully we have a result within the next couple days. If we have to wait on Pennsylvania, it's going to be at least till Friday. Hopefully we don't have to wait till Pennsylvania. If Biden takes Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, which he is favored in all four right now, as you see, then Biden's good and doesn't even need Pennsylvania. So just got to play the waiting game. That's what's happening right now. But I will say, in terms of the polling failure question, in Florida, I will say it's definite polling failure, 100%. Biden was leading, even though he was leading by like 1-2 points in Florida. Trump wins it 51-48. So we're talking about like a 5-point swing here. Polling definitely off in Florida. And I'm sure other states as well that appeared a lot closer on paper and were never that close. Georgia, one example. Though again, with the mail-in balloting, the absentee ballots being counted over the next day or so, it's possible Biden can flip that because a lot of votes coming in from Atlanta and the surrounding area. But again, so many unknowns still. But again, Biden doesn't need Georgia. All he needs is Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. I think I have it here. All he needs is, here you go, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. That's it. Trump has Pennsylvania. He would have North Carolina, Georgia. Yeah. And Biden still wins here. Barely wins, but I think this is the most likely scenario right now, is Biden with 271. That seems to be what's going to happen. Dylan O'Leary says, I don't even like Biden, but damn, I want Trump to lose. Nevada makes me nervous. Thoughts on the Senate? Yeah, there's so much wasted money on the Senate. So much wasted money. Jamie Harrison, not able to defeat Lindsey Graham. McGrath, of course, losing to Mitch McConnell. I mean, look how devastating this loss was. 58% to 38%. 58% for Mitch McConnell. Not even close. Not even close. They could have had Charles Booker instead of McGrath. Charles Booker actually having a message, speaking to a base of voters. McGrath trying to act like Mitch McConnell isn't close enough to Donald Trump. So just completely horrible campaign strategy there. Once again, a ton of wasted money from the Democratic Party and their donors into a lot of these races, going absolutely nowhere. All you really got here for Democrats is Hickenlooper, and that's really just because Colorado, not because Hickenlooper is a great candidate. So, I mean, I guess that's a pickup, positive. But they lose Doug Jones, who was never a good senator anyways, so whatever. But Doug Jones probably on par in terms of ideology with Hickenlooper. So really, the replacement here isn't much better. Though Hickenlooper, I would say, more likely to keep that seat as opposed to Doug Jones, who, of course, in Alabama was always going to be a tough race to keep. Cameron Barnett. Later on, can you consider making a video about who would be the best 2024 progressive candidate? I think Nina, but she might run for a spot in Congress instead. It may be too early to have that discussion. At the same time, though, if there's going to be a primary challenge, assuming Biden wins, if there's going to be a primary challenge, or even if there is no, even if it's Trump, and we're just talking about the election in general, Nina Turner, of course, got to be on the list. AOC, potentially on the list, but considering how divided things are culturally, I'm not sure if that would even be a good choice. But I don't know. It's something we have to kind of sit on. Because you need somebody who has the political skill, who has the speaking ability, who is almost Barack Obama-like in that sense, in just the performance aspect of it, not in the politics aspect of it, where he was a complete disappointment, but in the performance aspect of it, you need somebody. Nina Turner, I think, is a strong contender because of that, and also can be considered anti-establishment or, outside the Washington circle, which she is. So, yeah, I don't know. Right now, I think Nina's a good choice, but let's keep the conversation going. Gretzky R, thank you for your super chat. Brick Nose says good points for Bernie over Biden. What's weird to me is there were multiple progressive senators, and I think they all lost. I heard one more member elected. Your spelling is off. This is confusing me. Any other leftist wins. The only progressive senator I can look. I wasn't watching the Senate races too closely, but from memory here, the only truly progressive Democratic senator running was in Tennessee, Marquita Bradshaw. And Tennessee was always going to be a tough state. So actually, I'm sure she wasn't even close here. Yeah, 62 to 35. But considering Marquita Bradshaw won that primary race with $20,000, pretty incredible to even compete at all in this race. But Tennessee was always going to be tough. West Virginia, again. So when we're talking about where the progressive candidates were, they were in deep red states. Tennessee, West Virginia, Paula Jean Swearengin, fantastic candidate, but really never had a chance there because of the state, because of how heavily it leans towards Donald Trump. I'm sure I'm missing some others here, but those two come to mind. And then you had, races like I wonder if we can see. So Pelosi kept her seat over Shahid Buttar. I have not seen how that broke down. Okay, this is a little confusing. I'm looking at the wrong. Let me go back. Let me check out the House here. Here we go. Anyways, there's too much to wade through here. Look at this, Jesus Christ. But yeah, Pelosi retaining her seat over Shahid Buttar. But there just wasn't much going on. I mean, the primary is when the real fight is, and that's why we have people now like Jamal Bowman winning his race. He's going to be in Congress. Cori Bush winning her race. She's going to be in Congress. The squad, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Anna Presley, all winning their races and staying in Congress. So the victories that were expected in terms of progressive candidates, they happened. They won. The ones that were always going to be a challenge, a lot a lot different story, obviously. I will say, Nebraska. I was really keep looking at the wrong stuff here, but I was really pulling for Kara Eastman, and that didn't happen. But let me see if I can bring it up in a separate window. Oh God, so close. So Kara Eastman. So even though I believe Biden won this, but Kara Eastman losing 50.9 to 46.2. Look how close that result is. This was a fantastic candidate right here. Fantastic candidate. So I would say this, out of all of them, this is probably the biggest disappointment, because this was maybe the most flippable here, but was not to be. And the other issue with everybody else is, like, this is how I noticed the media covering this morning. When it's a moderate Democrat losing, oh, the issue is how they spent the money. The issue is how they campaigned. The issue isn't the platform. The issue isn't their ideology. The issue isn't what they represent. The issue is how the money was spent. When it comes to a progressive candidate, oh, they lost because socialism. They lost because Medicare for all. Nobody wants that, even though that's not true. Look at any poll. But this is the way the media in general, I'm talking about legacy media, cable news, the way they frame all of these races. If a moderate loses, it's not because of their ideology, not because of their platform, it's because of something else. If a progressive loses, oh, it's because of their ideology, because of their platform. So always keep an eye out for that, because it is such bullshit. Because when you actually poll people on the issues, especially economic issues, people lean to the left. They want Medicare for all. They want higher wages. They want a wealth tax. They want higher taxes on corporations. People lean left when it comes to economic policy. But this is not the way these issues are framed. And a large part of the result right now is because of the media, both in terms of the Democratic result and the Trump result. Both right-wing media and corporate media, both garbage. And the idea, by the way, if anybody, since I have 12,000 viewers, I'm sure some of you are conservative, the idea that CNN or MSNBC lean left is absolutely hilarious. They lean towards the Democratic Party, yes. The Democratic Party as a whole is not left. The Democratic Party is a corporate party, just like the Republican Party is a corporate party. There are two sides of the same coin. There is no left-wing media in the country. Left-wing media only exists on the internet. So this is a major part of the issue. When the majority of people, where they get their news, they think these are their options. They think, oh, they can have Democrats or Republicans, and really there's not much of a difference apart from cultural issues, apart from social issues. Really isn't much of a difference when it comes to economic policy. The result is people become disenfranchised. They become disillusioned, and they don't want to engage in the process. And that's because they're never given that real option. Only in the primary are they ever given that option. And when it comes to voting in a primary, in a Democratic primary, you've got to be registered, early. You have to be engaged in the process. You have to know when to vote. This is because people will say, like they said in 2016, well, if Bernie was so popular, then why didn't he win the primary? Bernie's popularity was outside of the Democratic Party. Bernie's popularity was with independents, was even with some Republicans, was with people that were not registered voters. So when your appeal is outside of that, that's great for a general election. But the issue is you have to win a primary. So Bernie has to win the majority of Democratic voters. But that's an issue if a large part of your appeal is outside the Democratic Party. Remember, most people don't identify with either party. Most people, or I should say a plurality of people, identify as independents, not Democrat or Republican. So your appeal to independence is incredibly important in a general election, but it's a barrier to your success in a primary because you can only rely, for the most part, in most states, on Democratic votes. Some states, yes, independents can vote in the primary, and that's fine, and that's how it should be. But when it comes to most of these states, it relies on Democratic voters, and that is not the appeal of a populist left-wing candidate like Bernie Sanders. The appeal is to the independents who cannot vote in the primary for him. So it's always going to be a barrier to candidates like that. This is why they keep losing. They keep choosing the wrong candidate to go up against the Republican. It is stupid. And by the way, not that I'm saying he's losing here. Biden's likely to win, but it should not be this close. If they had a candidate who was actually popular, you would see a different result right now. More chats. BK says, what I see is 50% of America is fascist. The left, as it is just Republican light. AOC Americans must take it over. I agree. I wouldn't call it the left, though. The left is AOC. What you're referring to are corporate Democrats or liberals or moderates, I guess you can maybe say. But yeah, the Democratic Party, yes, is Republican light. The left consists of people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, but even those labels, left, right, I don't. I feel like that language even inherently puts up a wall in some people's brains and doesn't allow them to actually just listen to the message of what these people fight for, which is why I prefer to say people like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Bernie Sanders, Jamal Bowman, Cory Bush, they fight for people. They fight for the workers. So that's the framing that I prefer because it's more, it speaks to the actual reality and it doesn't inherently cut out people who don't consider themselves to be on the left. So this idea of left, right, center, it's hard to get rid of the language because it's ingrained in the discussion around politics, but it's not helpful when it comes to trying to build these coalitions. Gretzky R says, refresh the map. It does it automatically. At least I think it does. Yeah, it does it automatically. So I don't got to refresh anything. We're still looking at about the same. Still waiting on, I mean, again, so AP has called Arizona. ABC News has not. But we're still basically waiting on Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. These are very important. Pennsylvania will take a few days. But if Biden can win Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, then he wins the election. Willie WMS, thank you for your super chat. Arlene Chambers says Medicare for all wins the day. Biden was a fool for not adopting it. Completely agree. OT Clark, thank you for the super chat. Super Chendo says, what chances winning Senate? Shout out Nevada. Off topic, who's going to win Champions League? I don't follow Champions League, so I don't know. Wherever Cristiano Ronaldo is, they'll win. That's who will win because I know him because I'm Portuguese. But otherwise, I have no idea. Chances of winning the Senate, almost nothing. I shouldn't say that. I guess there's still a chance. But considering Democrats have not picked up a single seat yet, or I should say they picked up one in Colorado but lost one in Alabama. So they're even. I don't know how that's going to turn out. And you see GOP already sitting at 47. So I don't know. The Big Oak Tree, thank you for your super chat. Lawrence says, this is so close. Also, New York Times is more up to date. Let me bring them up. The issue with New York Times is they always have a limit on how many articles I can view. And I'm not going to give them money. So let me see. Okay, they allow me to look at their map. Let's check it out. So I think they gave Maine to Biden. Is that why this is different? Did Biden get all 4 in Maine? He got 3. Okay. So that appears to be the only real difference there. I do like this map, though. It tells you the percentages from each state. But I can't get the zoom in proper. Maybe I can do that. All right. And I assume this will auto-update as well. So let me just leave that up. Gotta say, my throat's been dry. I hope it's because of the air and not because of anything else. 1 second, I gotta check my phone. Okay. Just taking a look at NBC. Oh, never mind. Went away. They were just showing a poll on NBC about what Latino voters were most voting for. But let me grab some more chats here. John Q says Biden took the lead in Michigan for the first time. Thanks for your hard work, Dave. The Mimico fans. Let's check that out. So, yeah, I actually prefer this one because it shows you the lead. But yeah, there you go. See? I think it was this way earlier, but I'm not positive. But this is Biden very likely to win. Very likely to win. Considering he has Arizona, at least according to AP, leading in Nevada with only the mail-in ballots left that will likely heavily favor Democrats. Wisconsin took the lead there, continues to, I believe, increase his lead in Wisconsin because of, again, we're talking about Milwaukee, heavily populated, more Democratic areas coming in now. Michigan, same thing. So he doesn't even need Pennsylvania. Even though it's still possible to flip this, it'll be close. It's a big gap right now. But because of the amount of mail-in ballots, still possible to flip Pennsylvania. Only 64% reporting, as you can see there. So still very possible to flip Pennsylvania, but he doesn't need it. We'll keep an eye on what is happening. Wow, a lot of chats. Missed my place. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, let me get through some of these more quickly. RamJeff97 says Bernie 2024 and beyond. BK says if you hate Trump, you hate fascism. That is being anti-fascist. Everyone needs to get on one side or the other. No more waffling. As you can see, what lame representation of the true left gets you. Alice E says you asked why we prefer to watch you. I prefer to have your unbiased opinions and logical approach. Thanks, Texas voter. Thank you, Alice. Dustin DPS has any chance of any chance of any called states flipping? No. No. The ones that are called, I mean, the reason these states are called is because they're being extra careful this year because of the way that mail-in ballots are working. So any states that are called are not going to flip at this point. Paul McGinnis, Puppetry, says, how do we not lose hope in the long run overall? Because if you lose hope, then what's left? You have to always stay engaged. Understand that progress is never easy. And then one day you may be shocked. You know, we keep pushing, nothing happens, and then all at once change happens. That's also very possible. Not possible today, not possible with this election, but over the next 4 years, especially if the Democratic Party is taken over by people that actually represent workers, represent unions, represent the people, then you will see a massive shift, and progress is very, very possible. And you, by the way, you are seeing progress right now in the party. As I discussed earlier, you're seeing members of the Democratic leadership get primaried out for more for candidates that are more representative of the working class. So you saw that with AOC, you saw that with Jamal Bowman, you saw that with Cori Bush and others. So that will continue. That fight continues. And you also see how many people are engaged in a campaign that Bernie Sanders ran in 2016 and 2020. And that continues to grow. Gen Z, incredibly progressive in that sense. They heavily favor socialism over capitalism. That continues to grow. Those people every year, more of them become voters. More of them become engaged in the political process. And also, that's another important piece here. This isn't just about voting. Obviously, like this election is, but in general, you have to stay engaged. Civic engagement, regardless of elections. Hopefully, maybe you're part of a union, maybe you're part of a political group, a progressive group, whatever it is, stay engaged in the process. Ensure that you are continuing to educate your friends and family, and understand that as long as you stay in the fight and others stay in the fight with you, progress will continue to happen. Yes, it takes time, but we always knew that. We always knew it would take time. And you should be happy and encouraged by the fact that when you actually pull people on the specific issues, on issues like Medicare for all, higher wages, taxing the wealthy, a wealth tax, on foreign policy issues, on ending the wars, the people, by and large, majority people, side with us on those issues. All it takes now is an actual candidate or a slew of candidates to run on those issues. So, and obviously, takes more than that in terms of being strategic and where you're running and actually and who and what seats you're taking over. But when the people are on our side on the issues, it's progress is a lot more likely than it may seem when looking at a map like this. JB Taishoff, thank you for your super chat. Adrian Lyons, thank you for your super chat. Bernie or Guillotine 2020 says, refresh the ABC News website page, yo. I think I did that earlier. I think doesn't it not refresh itself? Yeah, it hasn't changed. It's the exact same. So people are saying refresh, but nothing's changing. I'll leave it on. I feel like New York Times is more accurate because they have Maine here counted with at least with 3 electoral votes. They have, I guess Arizona's still waiting, but I'll leave it on here. Or maybe on here. I don't know. Because I don't know if this auto refreshes. I'm pretty sure ABC does. I don't know if New York Times does. Diamalos? I'm sure I said that wrong. Says Democrats are so effing weak, and this election proves it. They never attack Republicans on policy because they agree with them on policy. They would rather lose with a centrist than win with a progressive. I mean, you saw that. You saw that with Bernie Sanders. Though I'm sure some of them thought Biden was more electable, but they're wrong. They've been proven wrong again and again and again. Sean Kennedy says, I don't think Sanders was even interested in becoming president, given how he dropped out without demanding any concessions from Biden. I don't agree with you at all. Understand the very specific time that it was. We're talking about COVID, a pandemic just beginning, Trump completely mishandling it, Trump being a uniquely horrible president in the sense, in a not just policy sense, but in a cultural sense, in a white nationalist sense, in a sense where you have rising hate crimes over the past 4 years. That ties the hands of Bernie. Bernie can't come out and hold his endorsement when Donald Trump is a fascist. The idea that Bernie could have held his endorsement and Biden would have folded, really? You really think Biden would have folded to Bernie Sanders? No, he would just leave Bernie out in the cold and Bernie would look horrible not backing Biden over a fascist. So that's a completely bizarre attack that people have on Bernie Sanders. There's nothing he could have done. Once he lost the primary, nothing he could have done that wouldn't have ruined his reputation. So I don't think that's that analysis is just completely off. But in terms of Democrats being weak, oh yeah, obviously, yes, absolutely. Did I just read this? God, it's too early in the morning. Yeah, I did just read that. Okay. Mama Bear says, shouldn't be this close. Is Canada allowing Americans in? Husband and I are giving serious thought to leaving USA. People always ask me this. Here, I do not know about our immigration laws. I just don't. But what I do know is that it's not easy to immigrate here, at least if you're American. So I have no idea. You could look into it. You could try. It's not. I don't think it's going to be as easy as you may think it is. Brian Haynes says Joe Biden is leading in Michigan so far. Yeah, Michigan is, there you go, 49.3 to 49.1. And we're talking about the vote we're waiting for, largely mail-in ballots, largely bigger cities. So this is why I'm saying Biden is likely going to win the election because of how Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada all look. And Pennsylvania, hopefully we don't have to wait for that because that will take probably till Friday. Phantomus Phanto says media isn't going to do zero. His lawyers will win. Michael D. Haven says healthcare, living wage, decriminalization, drugs. How hard is this for Democrats? Very hard. I mean, you look at some of the ballot initiatives. I believe Oregon decriminalized all drugs. New Jersey, I think, legalized recreational marijuana. There's some other Florida backed raising the minimum wage. So there are, like, you see the obvious disconnect, and it's undeniable. The media cannot continue to pretend that this is not. The media continues to pretend that the American people lean conservative, and that's because they look at self-identifying polls, how people self-identify. So you ask somebody, are you conservative? Are you liberal? Or are you moderate? People apply different ideas to those different labels. So somebody may think they're conservative, but in fact, if you ask them, do you support a wealth tax? They'll say yes, of course. Do you support Medicare for all? They'll say yes, of course. But maybe culturally they're conservative, or how they view themselves, for whatever reason, they think they're conservative. So you cannot look at how people self-identify and think that represents their actual political ideology. The only way to look at that is look at polling based on specific issues. And when you look at polling based on specific issues, the American people lean towards left-wing or, left-wing policy. So Medicare for all, higher wages, wealth tax, people lean towards those issues. And the other obvious piece, as you brought up, the ballot measures. So when you see those sorts of things get the support that they get, how can anybody, especially the media, especially the Democratic Party, how can they continue to deny that reality when we see from how these ballot measures, how they come out? Like it's obvious where people actually lean when it comes to these issues. Erica Sislak says, is there any way Dems can win the Senate? I don't know. I have not, just full disclosure, I've not been that engaged in these Senate races. So I'm not the right person to ask here. But considering where it sits right now, 44 to 47, and there has been no gains by Democrats, I'm not sure what the path is here. If things just continue down the way they are, I don't know. My understanding is it's still possible, but it seems unlikely. Though I will say, I think this hasn't been called yet. Okay. Though I thought it was called, but Kelly very likely to win that race there against McSally. So that would be a pickup. But they don't seem to be calling it. Let me see if Google's called it, or if anyone else has called this. I don't know. So they called Arizona, but I'm not sure if they called the Senate race. Okay, I'm gonna have to look some other way. This is not working out. 1 second. Okay, I don't know. Gonna have to do a little more analysis and research on the Senate in terms of what is still likely to happen there. Willie WMS says, just because. Thank you for the super chat. Brent Fralix says, U.S. COVID-19 numbers look like Dow Jones. Trump confused. CJB3 says Biden's job was to beat Bernie. The establishment doesn't care if Trump wins. Controlled opposition pays very well. Even if Biden wins, he won't be dragged left. Urban Angel says, love you for your work. Do you think Biden will be able to bring COVID under control? Love from London, where the conservative government is killing us. Do I think Biden will be able to bring COVID under control? Without the Senate, it's going to be very hard. I'm sure there are some executive actions you could take. I think he'll do a better job than Trump. How could you not? But without the Senate, it's going to be hard to get any real help pushed through. Richie Rifle says, I fear Biden winning without Senate could cause a landslide win for Trump in 4 years as Democrats get blamed for a COVID-caused economic downfall. I don't think Trump can run in 4 years if he loses today. But in terms of the GOP, yeah, I think this is the issue with an election like this being so close. It's really easy to lose power in a couple of years in the House, and then a couple of years after that in the White House. So it's unfortunate. Luisa Armijo says, I prefer to watch you because you are honest. Thank you. Dead Homeless Bum says, grateful to you and all other commentators / content creators covering this insane election. Thank you. Yes, I'm amazed I was up so early, but I wanted to see what was happening. So I think I went to bed at 2 a.m. last night or something. Then I woke up at 6:30. Definitely have a bit of a headache from that, but I'll take a nap later. BK says, your thoughts on market's reaction? I've not paid attention at all, actually. I'm not the person to ask that. Adam Bryceland says, I don't live in Spain, David, Iowa, but I love Spain. Oh, wait, what? I don't live in Spain. I know, but you said you want to go back to Spain. So I was wondering, why would you leave Spain? But Iowa almost flipped. Almost. Not really. 53 to 45. Some of that polling definitely off. Though, I got to say, 92% vote in. So those mail-in ballots may make it a little closer race there, but no, that Iowa's called, unfortunately. Extreme Gaming 123 says, here's what I predict for today. Michigan, Wisconsin. My voice is losing. May need to make a tea or something. Here's what I predict for today. Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina called later today. Nevada called later in the day tomorrow. Pennsylvania by the end of the week at the latest. I think that is actually fairly accurate. Yeah, I'm not sure. You may be right about Nevada. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. But later in the day, tomorrow, let's hope. But yes, I imagine, I actually think we're going to get a result in Wisconsin and Michigan today or tomorrow. Going to have to wait for Pennsylvania until Friday for sure. But I don't know. I think it's looking good for Biden. But we're going to have to wait. CJB3 says BLM, quote, we are being murdered in the streets by the criminal justice system. Dems saying, quote, we are installing the racist crime bill author and a crooked cop as our candidates. Damn, how's it so close? Yeah, not a good couple of choices. G. Edmonds says Biden needs every state he can get. He failed. Purple snails. Either purple snails or purple's nails. 22 says Bernie should have broken with Dems and run as independent. Even losing, the U.S. working class have lost either way. U.S. needs a new mass workers' party. Bernie was not going to split the vote this year. That would have absolutely handed a victory to Donald Trump. No doubt about it, if Bernie did that. He would not do that. Bernie knows enough to know that would have been destructive, and that would have led to Trump victory. But yeah. Ryan Nowicki says if Trump loses and starts Trump TV, he will likely keep his base. Do you think he will run again in 4 years as a senator in two, barring jail or self-exile? I think Trump's done with politics. If he loses this election, I think he's done with politics. I think he'll do what you say. Trump TV, he'll hold rallies for himself, talk about how awesome he is, like he always does. People will eat it up. I don't know. It's it's still amazing to me how many people are attracted to an obvious narcissist. It is crazy, but it's because he's just an entertainer. He's a right-wing comedian. That's what Donald Trump is. So people like him because of that. It's not because of anything he's actually done. But I don't think he has any interest in staying in politics. I mean, he can make a lot more money not being in politics. Kush Renata says, we're screwed in 2024. You really think Biden or Kamala will fend off the right in 2024 with this slim win? Please, Biden just set us up for GOP red wave. They're gonna have to primary Biden or Kamala, whoever it is. Because I agree with you. That you cannot have Biden, especially Biden, go into 2024. Kamala, she would only be successful if she completely changes her approach. Does a complete 180 from what Biden has done. Actually pushes for policies that are based in helping out labor, unions, workers, of course, pushing issues like Medicare for all. And I don't see Kamala doing that. So there will have to be a primary challenge. There will have to be. Nancy Hodgson says Kamala is a fighter and has skill. Wish she was a progressive. I don't even think she has that much skill. Look, compared to Biden, I guess, because Biden is he's a victim of his age. But I don't think Kamala has had moments in the Kavanaugh hearing, for example. But I don't think she's a great campaigner. You saw how poorly she did in the primary. Got no support, dropped out before the first state. Kamala is not a good politician. And that's separate from her platform, which of course was inadequate. Scott 1958 Tube says a presidential candidate must be a natural born citizen of the U.S., a resident for 14 years, and 35 years of age or older. All right, thank you. Interdimensional Steve says switch to the Guardians election map. You're way behind. Michigan plus 18 for Biden right now and looking good. Everyone's got their own. Okay, well, let me check out the Guardians, see what they're doing. But like, this is, I've purposely been on the ABCs because it is the most conservative. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But I guess it's nice to maybe look at a potentially more positive result that I would say is likely. But let's see if this... Let's see what they say here. Okay, I hope this auto updates. If it doesn't, I'll have to... I think it does. Okay, good. Good. Sure, I'll leave this up. So we're looking at, again, just to recap here for any late joiners. Biden, right now, to win, he will need Arizona. So Biden's most likely path to victory: Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. If he gets those, he's got it. He wouldn't even need Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, which are right now leaning Trump. But with the mail-in ballots could flip to Joe Biden. But he doesn't even need these three. He just needs Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. To show you that, here's what that would look like. Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, doesn't have Pennsylvania, doesn't have North Carolina, doesn't have Georgia, still has 271. Barely makes it. Barely makes it, but he makes it. So that's how that's shaping up. Did they give all 4 to Biden here? I want to see how this works. I think they may have to wait. No, he has all 4. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's the path. That's the path to victory. It seems likely. I'm just looking at MSNBC right now. See what Steve Kornacki's doing. I would show you this, but I think I would get pulled down over copyright issues. But just glancing at Steve Kornacki, see if any information's coming out of here right now. Nevada's still too close to call. Biden up by about 8,000 votes. 86% in. Okay. Dan Ryan says, any updates on Bernie being in Biden's cabinet? Not yet. Too early. Also very unlikely. Also, he may be of better use in the Senate as opposed to in the cabinet. But I guess that's debatable. Charles Enchill says, preparing for the worst and apply to some Canada jobs. Thanks for all your work. Good luck, Charles. Travell Stith says, I will never like Biden, but I really hope he wins. Trump just needs to go. Nina Turner, I'm drafting next time. I'm with you. CJ Fields says, ironically, losing Dems, losing House seats is good for the squad, as now Pelosi will need them to pass anything. Yeah, I know Dems have the House. I'm not sure, though. This is the issue with nights like this. There's too much information. It's impossible for me as one man to know what is going on completely. But so Dems will have control, but I guess it appears, or it's possible, that they will lose some seats in the House, though I don't know. Since it's already been called for Democrats, they seem pretty confident about that. I don't want to claim anything either way. That said, the progressive group there, the Justice Dems in the House, are growing and will increasingly have more of a voice and be able to influence what the House passes. Just glancing at Steve Kornacki. Steve Kornacki, gotta say, look, I have 1,000 criticisms of MSNBC and cable news, but Steve Kornacki, the numbers guy, the guy's on the map, fantastic. He's been up all night. I was watching him at like 6 p.m. last night. He's still up. He never went to bed. He was doing this all night. I don't know how he doesn't look tired. He's incredible. There are some people on the network, or maybe just him, that are actually fantastic at what they do and deserve a raise. But people like him are rare. But he's done a great job. Michigan, he's showing Michigan right now. Again, I can't show you this because of copyright issues, but he's showing Michigan. Biden up 67-31 in Wayne County. Still too early to call, 70% in, but if more of those votes roll in, it's going to continue benefiting Joe Biden. Okay. Boris Orozco says, ha ha ha. Thank you for your super chat. Dreaming when dreaming becomes risky. Says, honestly, just hope another Al Gore situation doesn't happen. Also, what's your views on a possible Communist Party of America? Would you support it? I support multiple parties in general. There's a Communist Party in Canada. They don't have any seats, but it's always good to have a wide discussion on these issues. So absolutely. But the problem here is the American system is not a parliamentary system. There's a much larger barrier to third parties in the American system. But in terms of changing the conversation, or in terms of normalizing certain terms like communism or socialism, I think it's important to have those discussions. It's important for people to be exposed to those ideas so they can better understand them, as opposed to just, absorbing what they've heard over their lifetime from media. Cameron Barnett says, should Nina Turner primary Nancy or Dianne Feinstein? Nina Turner is from Ohio. I don't see her jumping into California politics. I say just go for the presidency. That's where I want to see Nina. Michael Cuomo says, is there jobs hiring by you? Got to get out of the U.S. A lot of questions here about people wanting to move. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know the immigration process. I can't answer those questions. I have no idea. So I'm sorry, but look into it. Do some research. Check it out. Richard Nichols says, thanks for keeping us company this morning, Dave. I need your sanity today. No problem. Thank you, Richard. Kat Morin says, some light humor during the last election when I'd be giving directions to my boyfriend who was driving. We would refer to the 2 lanes of left turns as Hillary Clinton left or Bernie Sanders left. That's really funny. I never thought about that. I feel like from now on, when I see double left-hand turn lanes, I'll be thinking the Hillary Clinton left and the Bernie Sanders left. That's really good. Francis Leroy, thank you for your super chat. D. Kane, thank you. Ashley Wright says if Biden... Oh, jeez, it just scrolled on me. Oh, man, there's a lot in. I appreciate all the support. I just lost my place. Here we go. Ashley Wright says if Biden wins and the Senate is tied, then Kamala will be the deciding factor. Yes. Yes, she will. I guess that's possible. Yeah, I need a little more analysis on what's happening. If somebody... It's hard to follow the actual chat, the normie chat, but if somebody in Super Chat wants to, I don't know, do some research for me or lead me into a direction or a place to go to get a better analysis on what may happen with the Senate, I could just check 538. They usually have ongoing analysis on that. But yeah, I would like to give you an update on what the Senate may look like, but I don't know how that looks right now. I mean, I know how it looks in terms of the map, but in terms of what may happen here, I just don't know. This is looking good, though. I'll say I'm not as worried as I was last night. As these votes roll in, it really is just about the mail-in balloting, the absentee ballots. The Real Life says, with how Trump increased his base, what does it say about how many people just voted Trump for the racism and white supremacy? Yeah. I don't know. I think to me that is the most surprising, is that Trump actually increased support in places like Miami-Dade County in Florida, which still went for Biden, but Hillary won that by 30 points. Biden only won that by about, I think, 10 points or less than 10 points. So it is stunning how many people saw the incredible failure on COVID, the continued hatred from Trump, the continued racism and xenophobia from Trump, and thought, that's great. He's awesome. I'll vote for that. And not even just that, but the failure on everything, on the economy. What did Trump actually do? Like, there's this continued idea that the media, again, did not do enough of a job discrediting. This idea that Trump was beneficial for the economy. In what way? In what way? The only gains made under Trump were because of, were just continuations of what Obama did. Then the only thing Trump did was tax reform for the rich. Tax cuts for the rich. That's all he did. So, and then a complete failure on COVID. So this idea that Trump, and again, or that the idea that the economy is doing well, when people are living paycheck to paycheck, over 70% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, I believe half the country making like 30 grand or less, completely insane. People have no money. They're losing health care because it was tied to their employer. Now they lost their job, or they maybe have a new job, but they don't have health care now. Like, just a whole host of issues that were never solved by Donald Trump, were never even addressed by Trump. But he'll point to like the stock market. Oh, look, stocks are up. Who gives a shit? How are people living their lives? Can they afford to live? Do they have a home? Do they have outstanding bills? Like, what's their healthcare situation? Just this complete, and again, the issue being the media and Democratic Party not actually, or the media not correcting that and discussing what the issue is, and the Democratic Party not offering an actual alternative to Trump's disaster. and not even just Trump's disaster, but again, not offering an alternative to what the real life situation is for most Americans. Justin Ramos, thank you for your super chat. Gramgar says, increasingly wary of a tie. My prediction is Biden picks up North Carolina but loses by slim margin in Michigan. Pennsylvania gets tied up in courts, and House may end up deciding election. Even in your, so let's go to your scenario. Let's say say I think he'll actually pick up North Carolina. Okay, let's say Biden picks up North Carolina. He's not losing Arizona. In fact, it's already called by the AP. Leaning for him in Nevada. Let's say Trump gets Michigan. Even in that scenario, Biden still wins. Because Biden has Maine, Biden has Nevada, Biden has the one electoral vote there in Nebraska. So, even in your scenario, Biden wins. But I think Biden is going to pick up Michigan. I don't think he's going to win North Carolina. I think this is the more likely scenario. But actually, I haven't checked out North Carolina recently. Let me move this tab over. I keep clicking this. How's this looking? So, Trump favored right now in North Carolina, but 6% left to count. It's very close. And again, I imagine what's left is heavily Democratic. Possible that could flip. But he doesn't even need that. All he needs is Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. Just to humor everybody, let me refresh these maps, even though I'm pretty sure they auto refresh. But yeah, no real changes there. Why don't they have the count? Here it is. So they have 238 to 213. ABC is 225, 213. That's because they have called, I believe, Arizona here. Or maybe not. I'm not sure what this means. Oh, yeah, they have called it. That's a flip. So Arizona, the only flip right now. Unbelievable. Wow. Jesus Christ. This election is so close. Ronnie in Virginia. Very generous super chat, as all of these are. Ronnie says, thank you for your work. Love your channel. Thank you so much, Ronnie. BK says the Overton window needs to shift left. Yes, it does. I think it has in terms of the conversation. We weren't discussing issues like Medicare for all or like a wealth tax even 4 years ago, or I should say 6 years ago. But we are now. And you see the House is turning more progressive. But yeah, there definitely needs to be a shift in the conversation. Mirko Boyson says, checking in from Germany. Fascism is no fun. Lots of hard work to do for the U.S. after these elections, regardless. Hang in there, guys. Yes. Yeah. Top Goose says, I'm losing my voice. Jesus. I may need to step out for a minute to boil some water. The air is just, once it gets cold here in Canada, at least where I am, the air gets so dry. My skin gets dry, my throat gets dry, and let's hope it's not COVID. It's pretty much my way of telling myself, definitely not COVID. Definitely not COVID. Just the dry air. Top Goose says Biden is projected to win at the current moment. Unbiased person here. The left is too left and the right is too right. The chat is afire. I don't think the left is too left at all. I guess it depends what left you're talking about in terms of who actually has power. Nowhere near where it should be. But again, I hate these left, right, center labels. They're just so off. They're completely out of whack. What I actually care about is, do Politicians represent the workers. Do they represent labor, unions? Do they represent the best interests of people in general when it comes to issues like healthcare, wages, a wealth tax? So I prefer to lean more on the actual specific policy issues and get away from left, right, center, because people have their own idea. It's very similar to conservative, liberal, moderate. People have their own idea of what left, right, center actually is. So it's not a way to have a conversation, because if you're coming from different angles on what those different labels mean, then you're just talking past each other. BK became a member. Thank you, BK. Jamie Sapoznikov says, we just need Wisconsin, Nevada, and Michigan to get to 270. That's correct. Jane Malik, thank you for your generous super chat. Michael Huziak says, hello there, big fan. If AOC was the 2024 candidate, who would make a better VP, Nina Turner or Andrew Yang? Nina Turner. For me. Andrew Yang would not be on a tick with AOC. I just don't think that would happen. But yeah, Nina. Mark Ford says, Elizabeth Warren ruined Bernie's chances by not dropping out sooner and not immediately endorsing Bernie when she did. Elizabeth Warren ruined Bernie's chances by not dropping out sooner. Yeah, no, yeah. We've had this discussion, over the, during the primary. Though, look, I agree with you. At the same time, you can't control what other people do. So, but I think Warren simply exposed herself for not actually caring about the issues, for caring more about herself and her own path to power than she did about pushing any certain policy. So, yeah, the fact that she didn't back Bernie shows you exactly who Elizabeth Warren is. She's someone not to be trusted. Wade W. says Michigan's ballot measure to require warrant for electronic data is at 88.8% with 82% reporting. Require warrant for electronic data. I need to read more into sometimes the names of these ballot measures aren't actually what they seem, so I need to read more into that to even know what they're talking about. Goku Just Sayin says Allison Hartson for Ro Khanna's congressional seat and Ro Khanna to Dianne Feinstein's Senate seat in the future. Hey, yeah, I support that. That'd be good. You got to replace Feinstein. Jesus Christ. The fact that Feinstein represents California is insane. Completely insane. One of the most conservative Democrats in California as a senator. Insane. Ken Clive says, will Democrats split into centrist/progressive parties after this election? They're going to split into factions within the party, but they're not going to split into separate parties. Philip Sylvia says, if Michigan Senate goes blue, 50-50 tie is very possible. VP is tiebreaker. Trump can't. If Michigan Senate goes blue, 50-50 tie, I assume you mean in the Senate. Oh, yeah, okay. You're saying if Michigan Senate goes blue. VP's tiebreaker. Trump can run again if he loses, but will be so old. All right. John Chavez says, David, would you vouch for me for a Canadian visa? I cannot do that. No. I am sorry, I can't do that. I'm sure you're half joking here, but I can't do that. Would a $100 super chat help make up your mind? I'll also throw in a year's supply of shampoo. Pretty sure it's illegal for me to take a bribe to vouch for you on a Canadian visa. So the answer is no, but I know you're joking. But yes, I don't know shit about the immigration process. I'm not the person to ask. Adam Bryceland says the South does not need education. They need deprogramming. They never got over the fact they lost that damn Civil War. These people need help. Derek Moore says, let me just glance briefly at MSNBC here. Soon, we're going to get an update from Pennsylvania Governor and Secretary of State. All right. Derek Moore says, thinking that corporate Democrats give a damn whether they win the general is the issue. They already won in the primary when they took out their number one enemy, Bernie Sanders. Mueller's Game says, I really couldn't watch progressive media last night. Everyone was so down and depressed, even though the red mirage has been talked about for months. I hear you. I was the same way. I was definitely... But here's the issue. Yes, the red mirage was talked about for months. But at the same time, the way that everything was looking, it was very possible that the way it was looking, that Biden was going to actually have a blowout, and there was going to be a complete rejection of Donald Trump. That is more where the disappointment for me came in, is that there was not a complete rejection of Donald Trump, clearly. So while Biden's still likely to win, the fact that it's this close is really disgusting and shows you the failure that this Democratic Party is. Sam Sad says these results is like the U.S. trying its best to break away from an abusive relationship. Yeah, I can see that. Goku just saying says Kamala's nervous/uncomfortable Hillary-like laugh during national interviews alone makes her undesirable to most people. Just saying. I do think it makes Kamala not look honest. And that's because usually when she gives that nervous, uncomfortable laugh, that's because she's not being honest. That's her way of masking her dishonesty. She did that when she was asked about her changing positions on Medicare for All. She's done that a number of times in discussions about, issues that she doesn't support anymore. And then she'll like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I don't support that. But it was or when she was asked about on Stephen Colbert, asked about going after Joe Biden in the debate and then being his VP. She just like laughed uncomfortably and then was like, oh, it was a debate. Ha, ha, ha. Like it doesn't look good. It makes you come off like the person you are, a dishonest politician. There are ways of saying this. Like she could answer that by saying, yeah, those things that I said in the debate, they're not wrong. They were accurate. But now we have to defeat Donald Trump. I'm on this ticket with Joe Biden. I'm happy about being on this ticket with Joe Biden. Right now, the focus is defeating Donald Trump. Like there's a way to answer that question without actually lying. But she can't even do that. They play these political games, and it comes off as so phony. Vishal Narayan says, message you on Patreon. Hope to hear back. Thanks. I will check it out. I've been swamped with emails and sometimes I just lose track of the last time I checked the mail, but I'll check it out. Demi says, thank you for the awesome content and coverage. You rock, David. Thank you. H. Lay says, whatever ends up happening, thanks for the positive impact on my life, man. You're keeping me mentally stable right now. Wow. Thank you. I'm glad I have that impact. Everybody's calling me. Stop. I think that's a telemarketer. Jen Pepper says, feeling hopeful. Good morning. Good morning, Jen. Melissa H says, hope you no longer trust U.S. polls or Democrats. Ultimately, polls aren't going to be that far off, except for really in Florida. But there's going to be a proper... in Pennsylvania, if Pennsylvania stays the way it is. But there's going to be a proper breakdown. There's going to be a proper breakdown from places like 538 who were honest about their failures in 2016. At the same time, they were closest in 2016 compared to other places. But polling wasn't really off in 2016. In fact, I think it was almost more off this year. I mean, Florida especially. Biden was leading there by like 1 to 2 points or 3 points. And Trump flipped that 51 to 47. Like they were completely off there. David says, David 83151 says, thoughts on rumors Biden appointing Gillibrand to cabinet and Cuomo appointing AOC to Senate. Schumer could want it so he doesn't have to worry about primary challenge. I don't know about this. I haven't read enough about this. I don't know. But what I do know is Schumer wants to avoid a primary challenge. So I guess that's one way to avoid it. But even in that scenario, why not also primary Chuck Schumer? Sure, have AOC there replacing Gillibrand, and still no reason to keep Schumer in the Senate. Primary his ass out. Adrian Lyon says, any news on voter suppression going on in southern states like South Carolina? Graham and the walking corpse McConnell needed to be removed. I haven't heard any stories on that yet, but there's been so much news, I may have just missed it. I don't know. I'm not sure of the voter suppression situation there. Oh, man. I'm going to have to take a break soon. Let me read through. Oh, Jesus. There are so many chats. This support really is incredible. There are so many chats, but it's just like, I got to take a break at some point. Oh, my God. I lost my... It scrolled down automatically, and now I have to scroll up to find my place, and I'm realizing how many chats there are. Jesus. Holy moly. And now my MSNB stream went down. Let me refresh this just in case anything big happens. I can keep an eye on that. It's not working. Okay, Steve Kornacki back up. Michigan still too early to call, but Biden's leading. All right. Found my place. Good. I think. Here we go. I read that. JH Booth says People's Party 2024. I'm going to rush through some of these because I want to get to them. Alexandria McCurtis. I can't even speak. Do you think the faithless electors will change the outcome? I'm afraid this narrow lead will bolster them to ignore the will of the people. I don't necessarily know what you're saying. I think what's going to happen is I think Biden's going to end up winning. It just may take a few days. Hold up. Let me put on...
Are going to be counted. They're going to be counted accurately, and they will be counted fully. The delay that we're seeing is a sign that the system is working. This is a new system.
This is Pennsylvania.
27 last year.
I can't show you the video, potential copyright, but you can hear the audio.
Of mail-in ballots that are being counted. And that takes longer than the way we used to do it with the stand-in in-person voting. So we may not know the results even today, but the most important thing is that we have accurate results.
Okay. They're just saying there's going to be a delay. As we expected, Pennsylvania, likely not to see the results till Friday. Not a surprise there. Squirrel Lips, thank you for the super chat. Sleepy Piggy, thank you for the super chat. Christo Avalis, what's up? Says, I think Biden will pull this off, but it's still a defeat of his policies and ideology. Bernie would have won. Absolutely. Rusty9110 says, on the Google map above the map, you can pick Biden. You can pick between president, Senate, and House. Yeah, I was doing that earlier with ABC. You can see here. Yeah, I'm sure I can do it on Google as well. I got to rush through some of these guys. I got to take at least a bit of a break, maybe come back after lunch and keep going. But I'm going to have to read through these and then take a break. On the Google, sorry. Dr. Tingler says, I have looked into moving to Canada. The only thing stopping us is our dog. From what I can tell, pit bulls are not accepted in a lot of places there. Dan Brito says, Christopher Halali got 1%, 4,000 votes in Vermont as a communist. How about that? YouTube Party Tonight says, Feinstein and Pelosi are more likely to be successfully primaried by a candidate named Mortality. Hussein Oda says, hey, David, did you see how big Hassan and Vash's streams were yesterday? Also, I don't know how I didn't know what Cori Bush is that Cori Bush is a DSA member. Yes, she is. Yeah, Hassan, last I checked, I think he was hitting 200,000. I don't know. He was up there for sure on Twitch. Vash as well, doing very good. A lot of streams are doing well, really well. The Young Turks doing really well as well. They were over 100,000 people watching. I think Majority Report doing well as well. Yeah, a lot of streams last night. I mean, I went live late at like 12 a.m. and I also had a big audience for what I usually see. So a lot of people out there wanted to see what was going on in the race. Sleepy Piggy says, some people will just vote against weak people. Purple Snails says, it's Purple Snails. I was right. Or I wasn't really right. I said both, but yes, it's Purple Snails. I've had the username since I was 10. Please check out the Committee for a Workers' International and Independent Socialist Group. All right, check that out. Hannah Green says, according to people I know in Mexico, it recently came out that some Mexican politicians who were working with the mafia are connected to Obama. Don't know anything about this. Annabelle F says, I work 2 jobs working 7 days a week. I made $18K in 2017. At the end of last year, I only made $15K. I paid more taxes last year than in 2017. It's harder It's harder now more than ever to save money because of those tax cuts for the wealthy. Yeah. Trump has done diddly squat for people. Nothing. Abdul Al Hashem says Wisconsin is going more blue for Biden. Is 238 now. Keep up the good work. Let me check out. I don't want to see the whole state. No, get back. Still sitting in the same place. But who has the vote counts? Here we go. So yeah, just a little update here. Wisconsin, 97% in. Joe Biden leading. He'll likely continue increasing his lead. I think he's already increased his lead there since I last checked. Michigan, same thing. Biden leading, will likely continue to increase his lead because of the mail-in balloting. Nevada, Biden leading. Arizona, I think it's gotten a little closer, but Biden's still leading, 51-47. I mean, this has been called already in other places, but we will see. Nick S. says, does it seem weird that presidential elections keep being so close? Why hasn't one party established a dominant lead? Because the country is incredibly divided, and there is no clear candidate that represents the working class. That is why. A name I cannot pronounce. Thank you for the super chat. Ruse321 says, it's entirely possible that Biden only wins because of the Arizona flip, my state. Well, that's too close for comfort. It makes me so proud of the people living here. Latinos especially came out for Biden. Good. Yes. Arizona, I mean, good God. If Arizona did not flip, we'd be into some trouble. But it's looking pretty good. As I've said, most have called it. Looking pretty good. Junas Pastila says people just hate Dems. It is the idea of change. Irvin says the Overton window will only shift if the owners of corporate media would allow it. So ... Sky Rauby says Yahoo is showing a good detailed map for as much as you can trust a hackable website. Terry, I already have like 3 different maps up. I think we're good on the maps. Jesus, now this is in my way. What is happening? There we go. Terry Fuller says Warnock needs to beat Loeffler in Georgia runoff in January. I think to get the Senate needs to crush it. Yeah. Some of these races, like at least the one you mentioned, we're not going to know what the Senate actually looks like till later, till a few months later. So we're going to have to wait on that. Raw Hebrew Remnant says as the mail-in votes come in from Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, and Maine, that will put Biden over the top. Media is focused on Repub versus Dem instead of policies by design. I mean, of course, yes. The media is always focused on the horse race, which, I am too right now. But I'm not sure how much deeper they're diving into the issue being there not being much of a difference between these two on economic policy. Richie Rifle, I think I'm saying your name right, or it's Riffy, I don't know, says youth support Bernie, and sooner or later they will get older, with over 50s that listen to the mainstream corporate news not being around forever. Yeah. Yes. This is why I think ultimately, in 10 years, we may see a completely different country than what we see right here. But it takes time for those people to grow up and start voting. And not just voting, again, but be engaged in the process, unionize, protest, join groups, whatever is necessary to continue the momentum and the movement for a better world. Bo Einstein says how to de-Trumpify the brainwashed after this. I don't know. I feel like you got to ask people who are of the right, who live in red states. You got to ask them how to possibly de-Trumpify the brainwashed, because it's going to be a continued issue. H. Lay became a member. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enigma Tim Gaming says America has a right and a further right, no left. Yes, you are correct. Craig Maxwell became a member. Thank you. Name I cannot pronounce says Maine's 2nd District is actually going for Trump. Is it? Oh, again, I should not have done that. Let me check. Okay, well, let's in that scenario, let's say that happens. Biden still wins with 270. He may just win it. So in that scenario, as long as he has Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, he may just win, squeak out a victory. Just glancing at cable news every now and then, see if anything big's happening. Jerome, thank you for becoming a member. Mr. Gonzalez says, Californian, I am almost laughing here. An easy layup election to defeat Trump, even after a fascist like him destroying the country. It's still a close election. Democrats and mainstream media couldn't even manage it. 100%. Nailed it. Junas Pastilla says, the fake caring of establishment Dems echoes back as spite. Sarah AP says, yeah, how did that strategy of turning out Republicans work? Maybe next time appeal to your own people. They're never going to learn. They're not supposed to learn. Their ideology does not allow them to learn. They will continue failing. They will continue using the exact same strategy, banging their head against a wall, because their donors and the way that the entire Democratic Party is set up, the consultant class, it benefits from this continued appeal to right-wing voters, this continued appeal to so-called centrism, which is really just corporatism. So they're not going to change. You have to primary out leadership. You have to primary out members. You have to scare members of the Democratic House with those primaries. That's the only way you change. You change the party. That's it. Will0928 says, greetings from 2024. Biden will win with 270 EVs and be a lame duck. No Senate. Dems will get routed in 2022. Trump will run again. Welcome to hell. I hope you're not from the future, but that is not a horrible prediction, I gotta say. It's a very possible outcome. Hunter Smith, thank you for your super chat. Salt Fake News says, what repugnant right-wing figure is most likely to carry the mantle for Trump supporters, assuming Trump loses? Tom Cotton? I guess Tom Cotton maybe, but he's got no charisma, so I don't know. Trump supporters like somebody, they like Trump because he's a character. I'm not really sure. Tucker Carlson maybe is the most likely, actually. So maybe that's who it would be. And he is a lot more intelligent than Trump is, which is scary. Salt Fake News. I just read that, and I'm reading it again. Maja says, I stopped watching mainstream media last night after a pundit said Dems should move more right on the issues in the future as a strategy. Like what? Oh my goodness. What network was that? Thomas Shaver, thank you for the super chat. Mike Tyler says, I think 2024 and the presidency shouldn't be the concern. Moving forward, progressive agendas are in state and federal houses of Congress. Mike Tyler says, start a grassroots campaign for a progressive wave in 2022 now. Get the message to progressives to register as Democrats and make a difference. Jerome says, do you think Bernie would have won if he ran instead of Joe? Yes. Abso-friggin-lutely, Bernie would have won. Abso-friggin-lutely. Karima Awadallah says, after... Jesus, just scrolled on me. Why does it do that while I'm reading? I have to scroll up. Here we go. Karima says, after yesterday's election and Bernie's loss on Super Tuesday, I will never believe in polls. Also, not so sure if Bernie would have won versus Trump. Oh, I'm positive he would have won. Like the issue here again is Biden didn't have a message. That's why we're talking about races that are so damn close. I think it's very possible Bernie would have flipped Texas with the proper Latino vote there, but we'll never know. So it's kind of it's a useless discussion. But I think he would have won. Shock says, even if Biden wins decisively, I'm still crying. Sam Say Lopez says, good morning from Utah. Thanks for your work. Trying to stay positive. Joe Mercaldo says, sick of people that say Bernie would have did worse in Florida because of Cubans. I would be fine waking up this morning having Bernie lose Florida but win country. Yeah. Clems says, holy crap, you did not sleep. I slept. I was just up early. Adrian Fournier, I think, says the real enemy of the Democrats isn't the Republicans, it's Sanders. They fought him more than they did Trump. Ridicule says, I'm sure you talked about this, but will Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania be heavily Biden from now going forward because of mail-in metro areas? Yes. So this is why, I guess to reiterate in case you're coming in late, Biden still heavily favored to win because he has Arizona, likely to win Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. That's all he needs to win the election. And these are states that Trump had been winning in and Biden took over once they began counting the mail-in balloting. So that is the indication that he will continue to increase his lead in these states because the mail-in ballots, the absentee ballots, are heavily favored for Democrats. More Democratic voters sent their mail-in ballots or sent ballots in the mail. So that is why we are waiting on these states and why it's very likely that Biden is going to win the election. But can't call it till it happens. Rachel Atwood. Sorry, I got to go sit. I'm getting like pains in my body. I don't know what it is. I think I've been up too long, too stressed. I got to go real soon. I'm going to try to rush through these as fast as possible. Rachel Atwood says, MA voted no on question 2, 53 to 47. Brandon Chapman says, are they starting to count the mailed-in vote? Yes, they are. CO Hungria, thank you for your super chat. JM says, social democracy does not equal socialism. Most developed countries have social democracy. It's not the same as democratic socialism. Ignorance hurts Dems' chances. Sure. Yes. But Bernie always made those comparisons to, the Scandinavian countries. So regardless of the label, I understand, yes, unfortunately certain labels bother people. Yeah. I do think there is something to be said that if Bernie more positioned himself as an FDR candidate as opposed to a democratic socialist, I think that would have benefited him. But it is what it is. I do agree with you, though. Yes, social democracy or, say, FDR Democrat, that is a better framing for people that are representing the working class. Fact check says CA tech companies would move to Wyoming and take it over politically. Vegan Tattoo, thank you for your cute little sticker there. And super chat, Raven Slark says, would you go on Vosh today? Love what you both do. Would love to see a conversation. Maybe one day. I don't know if I have time today. But I like Vosh quite a bit. I think he does good work. Watch his debate with Tim Pool. Fantastic debate. Or I guess discussion, but it was a debate at times. Polly Fufu says, I am so exhausted and depressed by this election. Thanks for being here this morning, David. No problem. Nikki 2 times says, if the Senate goes R, can Biden get anything done? Unlikely. He'll get some executive orders through, but definitely limits his ability to do any, any big changes. Dijon Lawless says Bernie would have won already. Thanks, Obama. Ada Martinez, thank you for the rose in the super chat. Red Turtle says people in this country are such party loyalists that they will vote for policy changes that their own parties don't even support. Just glancing at cable news because they were looking at Pennsylvania. Will vote for policy changes that their own parties don't even support while still voting for that candidate. Is truly wild to watch. Yes, it is. Now, Witch Hunt says, translation, decency doesn't matter anymore. Honesty doesn't matter anymore. Policies don't matter anymore. Democracy doesn't matter either. All that matters is power, raw power at all cost. It auto-scrolled on me again. Oh, good. I'm close to the end. Jack F says, I asked people about why they vote for Trump in Pennsylvania. Main reason I heard: 1, pro-life; 2, left behind in rural areas / don't believe Dems help; 3, called bigots without nuanced discussion; 4, individualism. 3 is absurd. The idea that, oh, I'm offended, so I'm going to vote against, I'm going to vote for Trump. Like, fuck those people. You got some serious problems. If you vote for a candidate because because you were called a bigot and you were offended, get the fuck out of here. God, like, unfortunately, like, that exists, and we have to be careful when it comes to communication. But right now in this stream, I will say fuck you to those people. The idea of voting against your interests because you were offended that somebody called you a bigot, get the fuck out of here. But thank you for that super chat. Aro Astra, thank you for your super chat. Jared Pora says, New York Times, a ton of uncounted Pennsylvania votes likely for Biden. Yes. Look, he doesn't even need Pennsylvania. I hate this. There we go. He doesn't even need Pennsylvania. He just needs Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. But if he gets Pennsylvania as well, by Friday, I guess that adds to it. But he doesn't need it if he gets those other 4 states. Love Yurd 93 says, while selling out the working class for suburbanites working in Virginia, I guess. Shakur says, who will win the election? I'm deeply in love with your stream. I think Biden will win. Biden will win because he's gonna. I'm changing the screen. This is bothering me. Okay. We can see the votes coming in here. So Biden will win because he will. Some places have already called Arizona for Biden, and mail-in balloting is favoring Biden there. Nevada, same thing, though it is very close. 49.3 to 48.7. Jesus Christ. Wisconsin leading Biden, very close as well. Michigan, this election is way too close. Jesus Christ. But if there's between the two candidates, you're in a better place if you're Joe Biden right now. But of course, can't call it till the votes are in. Mueller's Game says the USPS is refusing to search offices for remaining mail-in ballots. Do you think this will affect election? The USPS refusing to search officer. I haven't heard about this story. I mean, if there are ballots left, then yeah, it could impact the election. But it depends where these ballots are, what state they're in. I don't know anything about the story. Pierre Boudreau says, how would another 4 years of Trump affect us in Canada? I don't know. I need more time to think about that. One Among Billions, new member. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I think I am at the end, guys. All right. Gonna have to come back after lunch. I guess I'll do a live stream because it's hard to do videos when the news is constantly changing. So I'll come back after after lunch sometime. Just hit subscribe below, the red button, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon to get all notifications. You'll know when I go live. And apart from that, hit join if you want to become a YouTube member. You can also go to the Patreon link or PayPal links below, or Streamlabs link below to help support the show. And keep all this reporting going. All right, I'm going to take a break, have some lunch, relax a little bit, take in some cable news, see what Steve Kornacki's saying, the only guy I enjoy on MSNBC. And I'll come back rested and let you know what's happening. One more chat here before I go. Pekin Valley says 10,000% chance there's a recount. God, I hope not. All right. See y'all in a bit. Later.